Hi, I'm a former New York State Supreme Court Justice. Let me tell you about a real case story. You know, accidents happen sometimes in a very, very strange way. We'll call this one Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones had MS, multiple sclerosis. He was confined to an assisted living facility. And of course, while he was there, he was able to ambulate. He could ambulate and walk with a walker because of his MS, but he needed the walker, so he could ambulate and get from point A to point B. But he also had a doctor's appointment. He had to see a neurologist that particular day because MS is a neurological problem. His doctor was several miles away, and it was necessary to call an ambulance to get him there. Well, the ambulance arrives, and Mr. Jones is put into a wheelchair and wheeled over to the ambulance. The lifts him up, puts him into the back of this ambulance. They latch him on to the floor, that is the chair itself, to the floor of the ambulance to secure it with a latch to make sure that it would not move or swing around during the motion of this ambulance. And the ambulance takes off, going to the office of the neurologist. En route, the driver of the ambulance makes a sharp right turn, and as a consequence of the sharp right turn, the wheelchair dislodges itself from the latch below and topples over. And as a consequence of that, trauma produces injury to Mr. Jones. He's taken to a hospital. It is later found out that while he was able to walk and ambulate with a walker before this accident, he is now totally unable to walk at all and is permanently confined to a wheelchair. Well, they come to us. We bring a lawsuit against the ambulance. And of course, they take the position that while they can't resist the claim too much on the basis of the chair being dislodged from the floor, because we had engineers coming in to say that the safety latch was not properly designed and things of that kind, they could not dispute that, and no jury in the world would ever believe their defense as to that. So we were pretty safe on that score. But they did dispute the fact that the trauma actually aggravated the condition of multiple sclerosis. Well, we engaged one of the foremost medical authorities from another state, from a fine medical university, to come in as our expert witness, who testified that indeed the trauma did aggravate the condition to such a point that took Mr. Jones from the point where he was able to ambulate with a walker to a point where, as a consequence of this accident, he was now confined to a wheelchair for the balance of his natural life. Well, of course, the other side brought in their own medical experts saying there's no way that this could have happened because in all of the literature, et cetera, this does not take place. Well, it was all brought before the jury, and the jury came back with a verdict. And the jury is the last word, and the jury's verdict was on behalf of Mr. Jones. Well, we were happy for Mr. Jones because Mr. Jones would now have a very substantial amount of money, which would make it possible for him to engage a person for 24 hours to take care of his needs, to make his life a little more manageable, to give him a little more comfort, a little more pleasure in life, to make sure they'd be a little more secure in his life. Well, we were happy about that. But as for Mr. Jones, the balance of his life would be in a wheelchair. But at least justice was done. Well, that's the story. And until we meet again, this is the storyteller telling you to stay safe and keep out of danger.